Hello loves and welcome to today's video. My Unhaul stack is outgrowing my shelf, so it's time for me to bring them to the used bookstore, and first I'm going to give you the rundown on what I'm unhauling. The first book I'm unhauling is Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein. This is a sci-fi novel in a future where there are these like alien invaders that they're trying to fight, and this one guy like really wants to join the army and has to go through basic training, etc, etc. I've seen critiques of this that it's like pro-fascism, pro-military, but I wanted to like read it for myself, and I did end up DNFing this because it got weirdly like misogynistic and homophobic in the middle, and I just was not having a good time. So I know this is one of the masters of science fiction. I did somewhat enjoy Stranger in a Strange Land by the same author, but this one, a miss for me, so unhauling it, goodbye. Another sci-fi novel I'm unhauling is Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. This is a cyberpunk novel about a pizza delivery guy who is like a big deal in the metaverse. I think this is the introduction of the word metaverse. And then people start getting a virus in the metaverse that can like kill them in real life. He is like investigating and trying to fix that. This book was just okay for me. Like I think I gave it like a 3 something. And I just cannot justify keeping this on my shelf because I didn't love it. And I own so few of the mass market paperbacks, and this is so thick that it doesn't look great on my shelf. And I have other things that do look good on my shelf that I want to keep more, so Snow Crash has gotta go. Goodbye, Snow Crash. And then I'll put these next 2 together because they are by the same author. I'm unhauling Animal Farm and 1984. 1984 I read in July, I think it was. No, it was May. 1984 I read in May because it is a book that has been on my TBR shelf since 2012. And I finally got around to reading it, and I didn't enjoy it. This is a classic about the surveillance state. We follow a main character who works for the government, like changing history, rewriting history books, rewriting the news to make the party look better. And then he like falls into a relationship and ends up like defying the government. I did not like how misogynistic this came off. And I do understand that a lot of our terminology around surveillance states comes from this book. Like the concept of Big Brother is from this, thought crime from this. But I didn't enjoy reading it as a novel. So one of those books that I acknowledge and appreciate what it did for commentary and people's understanding of those aspects of government overreach, but not something I'm ever going to want to reread, so I'm not going to keep it. Animal Farm, you can clearly see I bought these probably together. So I did read Animal Farm when I was in high school, and I have not a single time since high school had the desire to reread it. So this one was a little hard for me because I wrote an essay on Animal Farm in high school that I think is like one of the best essays I've ever written. I was keeping this for nostalgia's sake, but I just don't see myself rereading it. This is an allegory about capitalism or communism, depending on which government is trying to tell you things. Really about authoritarianism through a metaphor of farm animals. And I really enjoyed it. I did really like what it had to say about that kind of authoritarian regime. That essay I wrote was about the abuse of power by governments. I liked it, I got it, but I just don't see myself wanting to reread it. So I am unfortunately gonna unhaul it. Next unhaul is one that I said in a recent video is on notice, and I am actually going to unhaul 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl by Mona Awad. This is a series of vignettes in this girl's life, growing up fat, and how that impacts her romantic and sexual relationships throughout her life, even after she does lose weight. And while I appreciate what this book was trying to do, reading it made me uncomfortable, and I just do not have space on my shelves for this book when I'm not going to read it again. Love Mona Awad's other work. This one's not my favorite, and while I'm tempted to keep my like Mona Awad collection complete, we have limited shelf space, we have to be discerning, so 13 Ways of a Fat Girl has to go. The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. This is the book that Hellraiser is based on. It is about someone who finds a puzzle box that unleashes like demons from hell on them and make them do weirdly sexual, sadistic things. I think that's a pretty succinct summary. Another book that's taking up space on my shelf that I don't think I'm ever going to want to reread. The font in this is huge for no reason, and I feel like this is a popular enough book that I can find this again if I so choose, but I don't feel the need to hold on to it. I don't feel the desire I'm going to ever want to reread this. I also think technically this is a series, and I don't have a horror series shelf yet because I don't own any horror series, except for I guess maybe this one if this is a series. I'm confused about it, so I'm just gonna unhaul it. That makes my life and my shelf organization easy. The first of the stack that I haven't actually read and made the decision to unhaul anyway, Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This is a multi-generational story about a Korean family who moves to Japan, I believe. And I read a chapter of this in my try a chapter video, and it's very historical fiction. It's very family tree, needing to remember people's names and in what order that they relate to each other. And I just don't think that regardless of how good this book is, that it's going to be a 5-star I want to keep, or anything I'm going to want to reread. I don't think I'm going to like this. I have no desire to pick it up. I don't think I'm going to want to keep it if I do read it, so I'm just going to make the decision to unhaul it. Life's too short to force yourself to read things that you don't think you're going to like anyway. Next is another one that was a tricky unhaul for me because it's something I wrote an essay on. I don't know why me writing an essay on a book gives me such an emotional attachment that I don't want to unhaul things. But Sand Queen by Helen Benedict. I wrote an essay on this in university because I took a class on women in war. This book is about two POVs. One is an American soldier in the Middle East, and the other is an Iraqi medical student whose family is being affected by, you know, the Americans in the Middle East. You get the two different perspectives on the war and how their gender really impacts how they experience things. Because the American is an invading force doesn't mean that she doesn't have a rough fucking go of it. Not that that justifies some of the things she does in the book. You know, this book, definitely not my usual thing. So I am probably never going to want to reread this, even though I did remember enjoying it when I read it. It's just not something I am ever going to want to reread. I would recommend it if you are someone who does like war fiction, who wants to read a book about how war impacts women in different ways, whether they are the invading force or the person being invaded. I think it's a great book. I just don't think I'm ever going to want to reread it, so I'm unhauling it. On like a completely different side of the spectrum, I'm also unhauling the On Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. This is a romance novel about a woman who ends up going on her sister's honeymoon because it's a non-refundable trip, and the bride and the entire rest of the wedding got food poisoning, so no one else can go except for the sister and also the best man who she thinks hates her. So this is like rivals to lovers, and I did enjoy this, but I don't think I would want to reread it. And it also is something that I read like early on in my journey of getting back into reading. So I don't necessarily think that I would love this as much if I read it again, now that I have a wider pool of romance novels that I do and do not enjoy to compare it to. This was a gift from a friend and I appreciate it, but I will be unhauling this and getting some credit at the bookstore to get other books. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. And another Neil Stephenson I'll be unhauling is The Diamond Age, or A Young Lady's Illustrated Primer. This is a science fiction novel. It is about a whole bunch of characters, and if I remember correctly, because I think this has been like 2 years since I've read this, there is this like state-of-the-art new technology that this like old rich guy developed to basically homeschool his granddaughter to be like a young lady. and this technology accidentally falls into the hands of like a street urchin. So it follows like the company trying to like get it back from her. And then I do think there's also a time skip where you see like the effect that that technology had, both the street urchin and also the granddaughter. If I remember correctly, again, it's been a while. I think I gave this one a rating in the 3s. It's thick. I don't particularly think I'm gonna want to reread this one. I'm running out of space on my standalone shelves, so we're being a bit brutal when we're coming to cuts, and this one didn't make the cut, so it's gotta go. What did I put on the shelf instead of this? Oh, I think I unhauled this to keep Hot Wax. I definitely liked Hot Wax better than this, so hopefully someone else enjoys it, because like it's also in pretty good condition still. Okay, more historical fiction that I am not going to read. This is an on-haul off of my TBR shelf. Emma Donoghue, Learned by Heart. This is about 2 girls at a boarding school who love each other, I think, but it is old-timey times where that's not allowed, so yearning, forbidden love, historical fiction. None of that sounds like something I would want, other than the fact that it's lesbians. That is the only thing that really draws me to this, and again, I did that tri-chapter video, and the first chapter is just yearning. And I did not enjoy reading that. Don't think I want to read another 200, 300 something pages written like that. So I'm gonna unhaul this and hopefully someone else does enjoy this. And the final book for Unhaul is Persuasion by Jane Austen. This absolutely gorgeous painted edition of it with the gilded edges and the bookmark string. And the way that I debated keeping this just because of how beautiful it is, but also I don't think I like Jane Austen. I tried reading Pride and Prejudice when I was a teenager, couldn't keep track of who was who, read the first chapter, and I'm like, I have no clue what's happening. It is just the style and datedness of the writing that makes it more difficult for me to read, and I don't think that the kind of plots that Austen writes are going to be the kind that I enjoy enough to try and read that slowly to comprehend everything that's going on through that kind of language. So I'm sure there are Austen fans who would absolutely love to have this copy of it. I'm gonna sell this to my used bookstore, and I'm sure it will make someone's day to find this beautiful copy of this book, and it will make my day to have credit to use for other books. This is my stack of books that I will be unhauling and bringing to my local used bookstore to sell on consignment. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these and have any thoughts, or leave the pig emoji for Animal Farm. If you enjoyed, like and consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. There are links in the description to my Instagram and my Goodreads if you want to follow me some other places for some previews. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. I was waiting for that. What?